See, I'll be looking this
look.
way.
Animals.
That's fine, Nathan.
Look,
That'll work.
look, we can see you.
So
Well,
keep
you
me
like
honest and
animals.
Make sure that
Yes. Are you recording your own audio? Good. Attaboy. Look at you. You look like a pro gamer. Pro gamer moves, baby.
I feel like I look sad.
I mean,
now
aren't
you're
pro
smiling,
gamers
so you don't look sad.
All right, welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hard Reset, a Cold North production. I'm your host, Patrick the Law Morris. Joining me this week, we have the tenacious Tim Miller,
Hello.
Hot Pocket eating Tim Miller, and I was going to introduce you as Notorious Nathan Crumrine, but now you're just Sad Boy Crumrine.
Sad boy from Rhine.
That's just okay. All right.
Hi.
Hello. I like animals. Nathan, do you think you could do the whole podcast for us in your Russian voice?
I don't think so.
You're gonna have to maybe if this video gets 10 million likes on YouTube.
All right, then the next one's in my Russian accent.
All right, nice. Actually, you need to do an entire podcast as Toad. That would be great.
Please, no.
Oh! Yes. I can't. Coming up this week on Hard Reset, we have an abundance of smaller news stories to discuss. Kind of to the point that it's probably going to take up most of the show. We had some bigger topics planned, but we're going to be putting those off because the news is topical. And so we're going to be talking about the news. We'll be discussing the unexpected future of Dying Light 1. BioWare has confirmed that they'll be moving on fully to current gen and leaving the last gen in the past. The final mode of Battle 42 has been unveiled. We'll touch on that a little bit. Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack pricing was revealed last week, and woof, it's not good. And then, excuse me, Eidos Montreal is making a big change to their entire workflow. Dark Plates 2.0, baby. And then a new rumored Splinter Cell game, Xbox 20th anniversary celebration, and the next PlayStation State of Play. But before we get to all of that, which we have a lot of smaller topics to discuss this week, before we get to that, I want to know what you guys have been playing this week. Nathan, tell me what you've been playing.
So I've been playing a little bit. Well, I've been playing a lot of Stardew Valley. With Tony and Tori, and then I've been playing some Far Cry 6, and I recently started a playthrough of A Way Out with my friend Ryan, and I think I'm having a lot of fun with that one for all the wrong reasons.
Okay, so you're all over the board today.
Yeah, got a lot of gaming going on.
But you said something elusive to not Far Cry, to A Way Out. So tell us what you think of A Way Out.
Oh god, the voice acting is just so atrocious, and it's so hard for me to suspend disbelief. Like it's the game, like the game plays out like a movie, and so much of it I'm just like, what? Like no one saw that, or no one would hear that. Like they just rip off these big metal sheets from stuff, like while trying to sneak around this back area of the prison, and just drop this metal sheet on the ground. And there's guards like the next room over, and no one thinks about that. No one hears that. What's going on? And then like Vincent's voice actor is just pathetic compared to
Leo.
Yeah, compared to Leo. Like there's this point where I just can't forget it because it's so goofy. Where Leo's all pissed off and he goes up to Vincent and he's like, "There's a storm brewing. Have you heard about it coming or whatever?" And Vincent's just like, "I did," or no. It was like, "I did," and it was like the emphasis was on the completely wrong part of the sentence, and it was like, what? Like,
just very much
and-
one of those like moments of like in the Simpsons Super Bowl episode where they're like, here, I'll grab my cup. For anyone listening to the audio version, which that's all there is, I'm holding a cup in front of my mouth as they say, man, I'm really excited for the Denver Broncos. I can't believe that the president, Bill Clinton, and his wife, Hillary, are at the game. Yeah.
It's like that, or it just feels like it was separate and clipped in, or like they were not in the same room at all. And it sucks because like Leo's voice actor is pretty good. Vincent is just like, I don't know. It just seems like they weren't in the same room, so all of his lines feel really poorly delivered and like they're really off. And if they were in the same room and you're listening to this and you're the voice actor, I don't know your name and I don't care. I'm sorry. You did a bad job.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they tried their best. And Joseph Ferris directed that game, so I'm gonna come to his defense a little bit. Joseph Ferris is like way outside the box, and I love him for that. But I think that you should still play It Takes Two because that game is legitimately like a number one contender for my game of the year thus far.
Yeah, we
loved
literally
It
were
Takes
playing
Two.
A Way Out because A Take Two was downloading, and then
Yeah.
we just realized we were playing It Takes Two Prison Escape Edition.
No. A Way Out, not as good as It Takes Two. It Takes Two is like extremely creative and like really well thought out. Voice acting is better. Story is good.
Those parents are monsters. They don't deserve a second chance.
Yeah. I mean, I loved It Takes Two. It was such an awesome game. So
We weren't even talking about It Takes Two. We were
I
talking
know.
about A Way Out. And
I
then we
also
just
liked A Way Out.
started talking about It Takes Two.
I
so
know, I'm
obviously
sorry.
It Takes Two must be great.
They go hand in hand in my mind. But I really enjoyed A Way Out. So it's a bummer to me that you're not enjoying it as much as I did, but also I can't argue
enjoying
with your
it.
criticisms. The voice
I'm
acting.
I'm enjoying it. It's just mainly because we're making fun of it while we play. We're just like, what? Nobody heard that? Or like, I'm trying to think of one of the other moments that we had. I don't know. There's just so many where we're playing. Oh, it's like when you're chiseling out the back of the toilet, and like we just kept like just like barely getting by. Like it looked like there's no way that they wouldn't have known. Like we just put the toilet back. Like
Yeah.
so, I don't know. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, it's there's and like that's the best way to describe it. Is like there's a lot of that happens in that game. A lot of stuff that's like kind of silly, but once you get to like the hospital chase scene, ooh, that was really unique and cool. And then well, I guess it was just unique. You can't be really unique, but like, and then the like last thing that you do in the game really took me by surprise. So I would say it's worth finishing, and I hope you do.
That's the plan. So
Nice. I look forward to hearing about it next week.
maybe not next week, but soon.
Are you Leo or are you the other guy?
Unfortunately, I am Vincent.
Vincent. Yeah, Dom was Vincent and I was Leo. And that kind of fit. Those were our very much our personalities, so it's
Nice.
I mean, I will just tell you, if you started the game as Vincent, finish the game as Vincent. Do not switch ever.
I don't know why I would.
Yeah, I don't know why you would either, but I saw some people online discussing the game, talking about like, oh yeah, my friend and I switched halfway through. And it's like, why? And it messes with the end. So
Good to know.
stick with it. Tim, tell me what you've been playing.
See, I really had to think about it because I haven't had a whole lot of time for games this week. But I guess the only thing that I've really dived into deeply this week was Okami HD. Never played it before. So I figured I'd give it a shot on Steam. And I'm kind of meh on it so far, honestly. It definitely has those older like 360 style games. Like it plays like a 360 game still. It just kind of has that old charm, but at the same time, it's super handholdy. I don't like the whole, oh, you got the main character and then like they have a little sidekick that does all the talking for them kind of niche. And that's very heavy in this game. But it's all right. The combat's fun. A lot of the puzzles are pretty inventive. So yeah, it's been all right.
So I made it about 2 hours into that game, and one of my biggest problems with it was that like there is so much reading in that tutorial.
Yep.
And
the opening cutscene itself is like 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And I was just blown away. So I fell off of it pretty quick, which I feel bad about because it like the art style looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard such amazing things. I've heard that like it, because that game came out in 2006, I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
And I've heard that
To the internet.
when it got beat by Twilight Princess for all the Game of the Year awards, I've heard that it was really robbed pretty hard. So
2006.
Yeah, so I picked it up on Switch a couple of years ago and tried to get into it, but I just couldn't because it was, I mean, I like you said, just very very of that era.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool. Do you think you're going to stick with it?
I'm going to try to. I want to at least get to a point where I'm like, all right, I've gotten my money's worth out of this game.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll finish it at this point. It hasn't really sunk its teeth into me.
Yeah. How much did you pay for it?
I think I got it on sale for like $8.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep. So
This is the game where it's the one with the dog and you draw and stuff.
Yep.
The wolf.
Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I mean, it's a shame to hear that like you're struggling to get into it. I might download it again and see if I can once my thumb is fixed, see if I can play through it with you. But any other games for you, or is that the only one this week?
I mean, I played Dark Souls for about an hour, and then I was like, all right, it's Dark Souls again. And I'm trying to find something to tie it over until Elden Ring comes out. So,
Well, Elden Ring got pushed.
I know. Don't remind me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mentioned, my thumb is still pretty fucked up, so I haven't been playing much. I realized this week, as I was like kind of driving myself insane, I was like, oh wait, I can play Forza Horizon 4 because I don't need my right thumb for that. And so I've been playing some Forza, and not only have I been playing some Forza, but I've also been watching this YouTube channel about cars and trucks. And so I've been learning quite a bit, and that's been like fun to like take the learning and apply it to Forza. And like it's actually been like super cool. So it's like, you know, like doing custom alignment on the cars in Forza, and the degree, like the granularity to which they let you customize shit in Forza is just honestly insane.
That's pretty awesome.
Does it actually affect like the gameplay and stuff?
Absolutely. Big time.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So like, imagine my hand is the wheel, and you're looking like straight at the wheel, and like the car is, you know, on top of it, and then so there's this thing, and this is just like a quick example, but the game gets super granular like this. So the angle at which your wheel is tilted, either inward towards the car or outward away from the car, is called camber. And so if the top of your wheel is tilted inward towards the car, that's called negative camber. And you can adjust your camber to 1/10 of a degree. And so if you give it like a negative, like 3 or like a -3 to 5 degree camber, then what you're doing is you're tilting the wheel inward so that when you then take turns and the weight of the car shifts, you'll make more contact with that tire, with those wheels on your outside. And so then you'll suddenly get a lot more grip and you'll be able to like swing it out. And so essentially more negative camber means easier to drift. And it is like significantly noticeable in the game. So it's really awesome.
Interesting. Is there any like drawback to having negative camber, or?
Yeah, it may. I mean, less grip because you have less rubber on the road. And so it's great for drifting because you do get to like force your weight onto that rubber. But it's bad for just normal driving like you and I would do.
Yeah.
Because you're driving with less rubber on the road at basically all times.
Interesting. So like tracks with like a lot of turning, you'd want a lot more negative camber.
If you're wanting to drift around them, yes. It really depends on how you're wanting, like a drift race, yes. But if you're wanting to just kind of whip around them as quickly as you can without ripping through your tires and your brakes, especially if like depending on the size of your pads, you would want to tune it for grip. You would want to adjust your alignment for grip rather than drift, because grip, it's just about maximizing that grip rubber on the road, right? And so if you have smaller pads that can't handle like the load of this really, really fast drift without like, less surface power, less surface area means more heat in a smaller area, or the same amount of heat in a smaller area. So that would basically, if your pads are small, you're going to be whipping around these corners real fast and they're not going to be able to handle the heat, and you might run into problems with your brakes. So it depends on what kind of race you're wanting to race. All around, like kind of just a good, generalized tune is to adjust a line for grip, which can be done in the game because you have control over, you have control over camber, you have control over ride height, you have control over, I forget what it's called, but like the adjustment of where on the control arm the wheel sits, and like you have, it's really an insane level of customization in Forza. And considering Horizon is the more arcadey of the two Forza series, that just makes it even more impressive.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, well, we have a lot of news to discuss, so let's take it straight to the news.
The news show. It's the news show. We are now a news show, so we bring you news.
That was good timing, Tim. All right, so Dying Light. As we all know, Dying Light 2 has kind of been stuck in a little bit of development hell for like years. Nathan, I know you were really big into Dying Light 1, and you've been looking forward to Dying Light 2. It's finally coming in spring of 2022. But, and Nathan, I'm very curious to get your take on this. On the official Dying Light Twitter, they announced that Dying Light 1 would be getting an upgrade for current gen consoles, which just feels kind of wild to me considering Dying Light came out in like 2014. So I mean, just give me your general take on this, Nathan. How do you feel about it?
I mean, it kind of makes sense to me because I think last year I had friends getting into it again, and what they had said last year, I haven't looked at it since then, but what I was told is that they've still been supporting it and adding new stuff and like doing like different seasonal events and everything, and just keeping the community engaged in different ways. So if the community for that game is still going on, then I see no reason why they wouldn't, do a next gen patch. But I don't know. I think the game is I think it's just a really, really great game, like a sleeper hit in my opinion. So or rather a gem, I guess. So I'm all for it, and I don't know if I'd play it on next gen, but mainly just because I've put so many hours into that game, playing the campaign with different people, that it's like I don't know, but great game. So.
Okay. So Tim, I'm going to throw to you first for this one, but Nathan, definitely jump in when if you think you've got something for us. Considering it's next gen, and Tim, I'm throwing to you because I think that you've kind of had your ear to the ground with these next gen upgrades. What do you think they're going to be adding to this game? Like, what do you think? Like a Series X PS5 version of Dying Light includes that like Xbox One and PS4 didn't.
Considering I'm not too familiar with Dying Light, I couldn't honestly tell you. I played it for like a few hours, and that was about it because it lost my interest. I guess,
but like technical capabilities, what?
Probably 4K 60, 4K 120. If we're looking at like specs like that, I could easily see that the Xbox could easily reach that. In terms of content in the game, though, probably more weapons, more items.
Yeah.
Maybe more outfits,
on the
skins.
Screen, maybe?
Yeah, more zombies would be
Ooh.
nice.
Yeah, that would be good. So, Tim, you mentioned 4K 120. Not a whole lot of games are really taking advantage of the 120 hertz abilities of the new consoles. I mean, I personally, as someone who spent a lot of money on a 120 hertz display, I wish that more would. But like, so you mentioned it. Do you think that Dying Light will add that?
I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's a lock for sure, because like depending on like how much they really want to spend to program and update it for next gen.
4K 60, I feel like is a lock.
Absolutely, yeah. That it's kind of hard not to hit that these days.
But like 1080 or like 1440 120 or even 1080 120. I feel like is more of a, kind of gray area. Like maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Nathan, any thoughts on what they might add? So you mentioned more zombies. Do you think that since you're the most experienced with this game in particular of the three of us, do you think that more zombies might mess up the balance of the game?
Not really, because the more, I don't know, it kind of depends on when they come in within like your like if they scale the amount of zombies to your skill level and like your power level, if you will, because later on in the game you can just kind of chop through everything, and it's just kind of like a hack and slash at that point. And I think if there were features that I would want them to add, it would be probably like giving better weapon durability, because there's sometimes where you just wouldn't want to use weapons that were really good, kind of like the Breath of the Wild syndrome, right? You just end up not using weapons that are really good because you don't want them to break, and then it's like, well, what's the point? But
Right.
They also, I think it'd be cool if they balanced the multiplayer a little bit more, the asymmetric multiplayer, because that was just really not very fun. And I never had luck when I was playing with the zombie to even take out any crews or do any damage at all, really. So I hope that they even that out, and maybe even add a new area. If they added all of that stuff, that actually might get me really interested in picking it up again. Because, I mean, I don't know. I could always play that game again, I think. But if it's just the same thing as before, then it's like, I'll just let that sit in my nostalgia chest for forever.
Yeah. Tim, do you feel like maybe they're focused, like they shouldn't be focusing on this because maybe they'll be splitting their player base between Dying Light 1 and Dying Light 2?
That's a good question.
I mean, I don't think they should be working on it, not for those reasons. Like, I feel like people who like Dying Light 1, who haven't played Dying Light, might pick it up on these new consoles, especially if they're excited for 2.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be putting resources into this because 2 has had such a tumultuous
Yeah,
like,
2
development
has struggled.
cycle.
2 is going to be, I mean, I'm not going to say limping across the finish line because we haven't played the game yet, but like,
Yep.
2's getting close, and it has not been an easy journey for that game.
Nope, he's missing a leg, half of his arm, and like and both his eyes. Like he's stumbling
Luckily,
blind.
it's a zombie game.
Oh man,
Yep.
yeah. I was like, this sounds like a zombie.
Yep. This game has turned into a zombie. The fact that it is still shambling about towards the end goal is
I think
astounding
that
to me.
I think that would be an interesting strategy, though, if it's like they're trying to give people faith that they're still trying to keep, like Dying Light 2 to sort of the original vision of Dying Light 1 and just make it like a good sequel, right? By re-releasing the first one. I guess kind of like sort of Skyrim take, where they just keep re-releasing it to hold you over for the next one, right? But
saying that they're really like
I don't know.
actively demonstrating that they're staying in touch with what
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the essence of Dying Light.
Exactly. I wonder if that's part of it too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I didn't like it when I first dipped into Dying Light, but I think that I'm ready to get hurt again, I guess. And I've been thinking about like, maybe I'll pick up like some Ultimate Edition or whatever. And I at this point I'm gonna wait. And so I'm gonna wait for this next gen or this current gen thing, and then I'll probably end up playing Dying Light 2 first, and then I'll play Dying Light, you know, if I really enjoy 2. So, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time to stick around on Dying Light. Moving on, BioWare. Apparently done with last generation. So, they're reportedly completely done with the Xbox One and the PS4. Weird place. This does happen from time to time, but apparently this leak came from LinkedIn, where on his LinkedIn profile, Daniel Nordlander, who he left BioWare in October of 2019, had listed Dragon Age as his most recent project that he was working on at BioWare. And in parentheses, he listed Dragon Age as PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. So, doesn't seem like that game is going to be coming to. Doesn't seem like that game is going to come to the last gen. Nathan, I know you like Dragon Age. Tim, are you into Dragon Age?
I've played a little bit of it, not enough to say I'm a fan.
Okay, that makes it easy for me. So, Nathan, we're going to go to you first. What's your general take on this? As far as like, what do you think the like future of Dragon Age? Like, what do you think this means for the future of Dragon Age? Does this like rev your engine, or are you maybe concerned about Dragon Age being able to like pull a big enough audience in just the current gen consoles, not including last gen, to keep the series alive? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's an interesting move. I think anyone that cuts off this last gen when PlayStation 5 has had such a rough start, and like the series consoles have had like honestly a great start in terms of just availability and having an audience in general. I think it's interesting that any studio would decide to cut ties with last gen, but at the same time, like, I also don't necessarily care from the perspective of like myself, like I know that I would probably invest in the next gen as opposed to just chill in the last gen, especially because with having a Series S and then on top of playing PC a lot more and like all my friends getting into PC more, you know, it's not it's no skin on my back, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I'm not sure the bigger picture, like if people would be mad about this or anything. I mean, most of us could say that Cyberpunk should never have, for example, released on the last gen systems, really. So I don't know, more games that are just coming out with the next gen, it's kind of gonna be good in some ways to be pushing it towards that, but at the same time, it's just like mainly because of Sony. I don't know. I couldn't see from like a monetary perspective people finding it positive to cut the last gen, you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. Like, you don't want to abandon. I mean, across the PS4 and the Xbox One, there's 150 million players there, and like, you don't want to walk away from 150 million players. So
Yeah.
that's it's certainly a difficult business decision to make. Tim, I know you're so you've dabbled in Dragon Age a little bit, but I know that you're a big Mass Effect fan. What do you think do you think that this spells anything, like, do you think that this sets anything in stone for Mass Effect? Because most recently we've gotten that Mass Effect 4 trailer that says, you know, Mass Effect will continue. Do you think that this is basically like written in stone that Mass Effect won't be appearing on last gen?
I mean, I kind of hope not at this point. And
Yeah.
I mean, I applaud BioWare for doing this because, like, we're what, year in at this point?
Next month.
By the time next games come out from BioWare, it's going to be maybe 2-3 years into the console. Do we really want to be supporting last gen hardware that's not going to be able to keep up to snuff unless you had like the Xbox One X or the PS4 Pro? Like, and I know a lot of people who never upgraded. If I were a company, I wouldn't want to be investing a lot of money into developing for these older consoles at that point, because you're just severely limiting yourself and your player base with what you can do for these next gen games.
And it is adding like a lot more work for, like, it's utilizing a lot more of your budget to make sure that things run and are uniform as much as possible. Because I mean, like, if you look at older games that have spanned systems and stuff, like, for example, you took like Star Wars Battlefront 2, like classic 2005, was an interesting one to me because when it was on PlayStation, only 2 people could play at a time, split screen. But then like on Xbox, like you could have 4 people split screen. And like at that time it was interesting because people, I feel like, didn't normally have, like, you kind of had one console at a time, right? But now I feel like the people that are really into video games, and which is more like, I don't know, if you own a console, I feel like it's normal for you to have more than one now. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I agree with you.
So I feel like things are more important if they're uniform, because otherwise, you know, people are going to choose one console over another, and I don't think people necessarily, like the developers necessarily, want that or want to deal with that. And I think I don't know, it's just interesting because in the past, like, things could be different and different features could be applied to different consoles, but here we want, like, it to be as uniform as possible and running as well as possible across all systems that the games are on. And so
it's definitely like you said, a uniform experience, and developers are wanting to go for a uniform experience across all platforms. That's why literally nobody but Sony uses the touchpad, because it's not on, like, they don't have a touchpad on the Xbox. And so why would they spend money developing a feature that's only going to reach PlayStation players? Yep. And I mean, like, that's why things need to be at, like, little features like that need to be at a system level for them to actually be valuable to the end user. So like for example, the gyro in the DualShock 4 and the DualSense, at a system level, using that as a pointer to like type, that's a big deal. But nobody is using the gyro to aim, and so like,
I mean, on Switch they are, but
well, on Switch, but like, are there third parties using the gyro to aim on Switch?
that's a good question.
I haven't used any third parties, many third party games on Switch, to be honest, that aren't indie games. So
Yeah,
That's a good point.
and so like third parties aren't using those things, because why would they spend money on it when it's just going to make their like to just make like not reach the whole customer base and piss off a portion of the customers that aren't getting those features. So I think that it's an interesting comparison that you're making here with PlayStation, Battlefront 2 on PS2 versus Xbox, because like that is a big feature. The ability to have, 4-player split screen is a big deal. And so obviously because the Xbox has, had 4 controller ports on the front, they're going to do that. But it's, I think that, to kind of bring us back to like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, I think that BioWare, Tim, I am with you. You're convincing me here on this, because like BioWare shouldn't be limiting themselves to this hardware that's almost a decade old at this point.
Yep.
Don't shackle, like, don't tie a cinder block to your feet and jump in a lake. You shouldn't do that. So
Wait, why?
I think I'm definitely
what do
on
you
the same
mean?
page there.
They make for great
Yeah.
flippers.
Too much money.
That's what I was
So-
told.
all right, so we're all on board with that. Battlefield 2042. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I'm super pumped. The final mode for Battlefield 2042 was announced last week. It's called Hazard Zone. Did you guys watch this trailer?
No.
No, but I did read about it.
It looks sick. So essentially the mode will be called Hazard Zone, and it's not literally a battle royale, but like kind of a battle royale. 4-man squads drop into the map. They're tasked with, and then like these like pods, I don't know, whatever, come crashing down. And it wasn't clear if it was random places on the map or like pre-established places, but these pods come crashing down, and basically in the pods are data drives, and your whole goal is to like, it's every squad for themselves, and every squad has to go, and you have to like go secure as many of the data drives as you can, and then extract successfully. And you can obviously steal data drives off of other squads, and it's a lot like Hunt Showdown, which, I mean, this looks fucking awesome. In at least to me, it does. Tim, neither of you guys saw the trailer. Tim, have you played Hunt Showdown?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so are you planning on getting Battlefield?
Not at all.
No,
Because it's
okay.
not Halo.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I only have room for one shooter this winter.
And so this isn't doing anything to like convince you, oh, maybe I'll check out Battlefield.
If anything, it's making me hate it more and not want it
Really?
more.
Wow.
You're
Yeah,
that
it's just-
against battle royales.
I'm so done with them. Move on. Find something new to do. I'm done.
See, I don't think I feel nearly as strongly as you do, but I see your sentiment. I see where your sentiment comes from. That being said, this being like an objective-based battle royale, I'm actually super into this idea. I think that this sounds awesome. Nathan, I know you're a big Battlefield guy. Tell me what your thoughts are on this.
I'm like super down for this, because I think I'm kind of hopeful that they strike a good balance with it. And the thing too is that like I didn't really get into Apex like addicted levels until they offered more than just the main game mode. So for me it was like excuse me, I think when you have different game modes to play off of and to do to switch between and everything, it just adds a lot more. It adds a lot more value to the game, and you can kind of find your stride where you feel like you're doing the best, or where you have the most fun in general. And for me, Battlefield was always a lot of fun, like the most fun when I was playing in the squad with my friends, and like we were really working the objectives and just killing it. And so this is exciting for me because it kind of looks like it's condensing, like it's taking away the chaos of the big modes that I kind of didn't like in the open beta, honestly, and it's giving me the experience that I think that I will be the most nostalgic for with the previous games from Battlefield that I really, really liked. So I'm stoked for it. I think it's going to be cool, and if it's not, then I've got Portal. So
yeah, fair enough.
I'll just shoot computers forever and feel better about myself.
Fair enough. I think that the squad-based, objective-based stuff is going to be I think it's going to be that perfect balance of like really, really large battlefields without just being complete chaos, like what I have experienced with Battlefield in the past. So I'm pretty hyped for this. And plus, I'm not very good at first-person shooters, so the idea of something like anytime I can play an objective, I'm into that, because it gives me a sense of like, okay, I'm actually doing something meaningful, which is a big deal to me. It makes them much more fun. So like Overwatch, it was like I'm gonna be Reinhardt, I'm gonna get on the payload, and I'm gonna sit. And like, no one is getting on this payload besides my friends. And
that's immediately what I thought. It was like Overwatch, like all the super fun times that we had, like just being more tactical and everything, and working together. There's more opportunities for that kind of.
And I mean, like the number of times I meddled in Overwatch because I just pushed the payload by just being there was like that made that game way more fun to me, because it was like, oh yeah, here's an accomplishment. You're doing something for the team. So this idea of like data drives and like working an objective as a small squad versus just, kill and survive, I think will strike that nice little balance. All right. Moving on from Battlefield, Nintendo Switch Online and expansion pack pricing. Nathan, you and I are on a family plan together, so I'm going to toss to Tim first. But before we do that, pricing for the service was announced. Everyone strap in. The new price is $50 a year for individuals or $80 a year for families. Tim's giving us big thumbs down.
Just for reference, what was it before?
$20 for individuals and $30 for families.
Yeah. Dang, homies.
Yeah. Or was it 35, Tim?
I think it might have been 35. But
yeah, it was 30 or 35 for families.
Either way, this is just classic Nintendo being Nintendo, and it's fucking making me want to stab my eyes out. It's terrible.
Like, Tim is very mad.
$30 fucking increase for N64 games and Genesis games.
And the Animal Crossing DLC.
Who gives a fuck about the Animal Crossing thing? I'm sorry. At this point, the only people who are playing that are diehard fans who are going to be buying the DLC anyways. The rest of us just get that packaged in along for the ride. And it's bullshit that we're getting such a big price increase because it's included in it.
I do kind of, so Tim, you said the rest of us get it packaged in, like it's just there for the ride. I do think that was there to just kind of soften the blow of like the sticker shock that comes with. If anything,
I think it made me more pissed off because they could have lowered the price and just made that a DLC, like just make them buy the DLC.
I don't think that they could lower the price. Well, I think that they could have, but I don't think that they wanted to. But like,
oh god, no, they didn't want to. It's Nintendo. They want all the money they can get.
I think that they threw it in there. They threw the Animal Crossing thing in there as like just something else, because they, on the like promotional material, they have the little picture of the N64 controller and the picture of the Sega Genesis controller, and then underneath it says $49.99 for individual plan, $79.99 for family plan. And it's like, I kind of feel like the Animal Crossing stuff was thrown in there just to have a third icon, just like literal quantity of stuff that you're getting for this extra money.
Oh, I agree, but I don't think it makes it any better. At least not from my point of view.
I agree. It doesn't make it any better for me. Nathan?
No.
No.
Not at all. I haven't played, like, I stopped playing that game because I would play it and I would like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, why am I stressed out right now? And I'd get through it and I'd be like, wait, I'm avoiding doing real chores by doing chores in a video game. Or like, I'm avoiding doing work by doing work in a video game, and that's not fun. I'm just getting more stressed out. Like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this to myself?
Well, so on my Switch, you know how it like tracks all of your time played on games. Yeah. My Switch says played for 15 hours or more on Animal Crossing, which compared to like other people is just a drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. But but like literally all I did was play the stock market. So I spent 15 hours of my life, almost a day of my life, just like going to other people's islands, buying as many like stocks as I could, and then going to other people's islands to sell as many stocks as I could. And it's just like, that's such a fucking waste of my life. And that's all I did.
Well, the thing too is like, your debt is like a main driver in that game for progression. Yeah. So like, when you just blow past all of that and just can upgrade your house and stuff as fast as possible and buy anything you want, like, there's not really any other driving factor besides enjoying the game. And like, if you don't really enjoy what the game has to offer on face value aside from that, then there's not really like a pressure. Like, anytime I play an Elder Scrolls game or something, as soon as I get in, my first thing is like, I need money, and I start doing things to get me money, and I don't even know why. It doesn't even help me do anything, but that's the thing, And so when you get in an Animal Crossing and you're just trying to get money to pay off your debt to move forward, and then you immediately break it by just going to people's islands, like, you literally make the game so meaningless boring for yourself.
It's meaningless, and it's to the point that like, I think the most I ever had was like 35 million bells, and like, Jillian had been playing for hundreds of hours, and she was coming to me.
She erased her island like 3 times, right?
Once. She erased it once.
Okay.
But like, she was coming to me for bells to be like, hey, I need money to pay off my mortgage. And I'd be like, okay, I'll leave it by the airport. And it's like, that's fucking pathetic. Like, I guess I did kind of ruin the game for myself, but
it's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I was thinking about it, and I remember looking at my gameplay time and realizing that I had like 20 hours over Breath of the Wild, and just thinking like, wow, I enjoyed like every hour of that game, and this game I feel like I've enjoyed maybe 3.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have triple the time. Like, what?
So bringing us back to the expansion pack, and the pricing, what would you guys have, like, what could they have added to justify this price to you guys? $50 for an individual, $80 for families.
I think they would have had to add at least another console for me to make it like viable for $50. Like, I remember we talked about this a few weeks ago. Yeah, and I was like 35 max for solo.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what I was saying for what we got, what we were getting, and
they are going to be adding more games for like the SNES and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
So
and they're going to be adding stuff
adding
for N64 and Sega Genesis. They're going to be adding more stuff to all of them eventually. But
I wonder, is the pace going to be the same? Is it going to be different? And I kind of agree. Like if we could get something from like Dreamcast or something on top of it, or something like that.
GameCube.
Then
would
that
be the
would
big
have
one
been
for me.
Yeah, GameCube too. Oh man, that'd be
like then
that would
$50 a year.
That would be even
absolutely.
bigger to me. Yeah. That would have been a selling point for sure.
I'm going to take this in a different direction because Tim, I like where your head's at. Obviously, I want more consoles, but I'm going to take it in a different direction because that's like the more consoles is kind of the obvious answer to that. Just make it a fucking competent service.
Yeah.
Like, give us a proper party chat system.
Yeah.
Give us a proper friend system. Like, give us feature parity with like. Fuck, you don't even have to give us feature parity with Xbox Live. Give us feature parity with PS Plus. And then you're at $50-$60 a year. Then I'm on board with that. But like as it is, there is no good party chat system. You have to do it through your phone. And there's we still have to add each other through friend codes. Like Ethan threw his friend code in the Discord the other day and he's like, "Add me, bitches." And then like the fact that we can't play Smash online together. You know why? Because their servers suck. Like,
yep, it's just frame by frame, and it's awful.
Tear your house down to the studs and fix it.
Yeah, the
and
only
then
game
charge me $50.
The only game that seems to run well on Twitch Online is Mario Kart.
Yep,
because it just keeps selling. But
yeah.
At the same time, it's like if you're not going to give that treatment to all the rest of your games, then why fucking bother?
Yeah, and so like I just think tear it down to the studs, fix everything, give us feature parity and make it work. And then you don't even have to add N64 and Sega Genesis. I'll pay $50 if it'll just fucking work like I expect it to.
You bring that up, and that actually kind of worries me because we're going to be getting multiplayer in a lot of these N64 games. Like, I don't want to be playing Star Fox 64 multiplayer with my friends at like 3 frames a second.
Yeah, I would rather not play Perfect Dark or, GoldenEye or DK64 at like with that much lag. That's going to suck.
Yep.
So we're all agreeing on a lot of things tonight, but fuck this new price point. It's more tolerable for the families.
There's one last thing I want to say about it.
Go ahead.
Fuck you to all the scalpers who bought out the N64 controllers within 5 minutes of them putting it up online.
You know what? As long as we're on that note, fuck you to all the scalpers who bought all the Xbox mini fridges.
That too.
And now you're putting them up for like $300. And it's like, I just wanted a mini fridge that looks like an Xbox. Is that like...
Too much to ask in these days.
Fuck the scalpers.
Yep.
Maybe DB Plates can make some for a normal mini fridge.
What's that?
Maybe DB like the
D brand.
What is it? Yeah, D brand can make some plates for a normal mini fridge that make it look like an Xbox, right?
What just teed that one up for me, didn't you? What a good co-host.
Yeah.
All right, so Sony finally took D-Brand up on their offer. Speaking of D-Brand, Sony finally took them up on their offer. So if you guys remember correctly, or if you'll remember when D-Brand first put up the dark plates, they wrote on the product page, "Sue us, Sony. We dare you." And Sony decided to do it.
They did.
And so Sony last weekend sent D-Brand a cease and desist letter. And in the letter, and this is important to what happened next, but in the letter, like the main thing, like the crux of the issue here, the letter said, "Thanks to our clients' extensive marketing of the PS5 console, its commercial popularity, and its massive earned media coverage, the console's unique product configuration, including, without limitation, the 2 vertical faceplates, has become exclusively associated with Sony in the minds of consumers and has come to symbolize considerable goodwill." Parentheses, the PS5 console designed together with the PlayStation word marks and logos, the quote PlayStation marks, end quote, and parentheses, end quote. So, essentially, what that means for anyone who isn't married to a lawyer and can't just say, "What does this mean?" to them. Basically, Sony said the shape of the plates is iconic of the PS5, and it is work that Sony put in to like market, and Sony invested, so Dbrand should not be allowed to develop anything in that shape because it's stealing. It's basically, swimming in Sony's wake. So, and then also one thing that I really liked at the end, the PlayStation marks, like Sony popularized the shapes square, triangle, and circle. Give me a fucking break. But just days later, Dbrand responded in kind. So they released Darkplates 2.0, which is a revised version of the product with the corners cut off. Now, did you guys read the entire product page for Darkplates 2.0?
It's incredible.
Oh, I have not. I've only
really
seen the
funny.
picture, but
It's so good. I'm gonna pull it up right now because it's just that fucking funny that we should read it on the podcast. The product animation page for Darkplates with like the almost Venom looking black coming up and taking over the white is sick. But
Yeah, the whole animation is actually really, really well done.
oh yeah,
The
it
whole
looks
page is
awesome.
just so clean.
It's a great product page. So it says,
Absolutely.
imagine this. You're a 15 trillion yen enterprise. You just spent a small fortune designing their next generation gaming console. A privately held corporation run by robots makes it black. The world rejoices. You're livid. You vent your frustrations to a team of lawyers. They get to work. Now, under threat of litigation, those robots have to redesign their Darkplates while also funding a legal defense. Needless to say, some corners were cut. You're welcome. And so the Darkplates 2.0, and we'll read more of this product page, Tim, because if you haven't read it, man, it's so funny. So the Darkplates 2.0 basically have their Darkplates with the corners cut off because as we read on like what the cease and desist letter said, it said the shape of the fins is like iconic to the PS5, and so Dbrand was like, okay, fuck it, we'll change the shape, and then they added a hole for ventilation, which I think is so funny because the ventilation on the PS5 has been concerning since it launched.
Yep.
And so they added ventilation, and on the product page it says adding vents. Give those fans some air. Time for a physics quiz. Do you think oxygen can pass through a 3mm panel of uninterrupted plastic? If you answered no, congratulations, you're qualified to be our next and only fan scientist. It's a dangerous line of work, but you'll also get to tell us things like you should add some vents to the Darkplates moments before a horrific industrial accident. Fair trade.
Wait a minute. From the way that you read that and it sounds like Darkplates now is an OnlyFans.
Oh man, I wish. That would be a great thing. Dbrand should do that, honestly.
Yeah.
Quick
I'd
question:
I'd sub.
Is the on the fins or whatever that they have? Is that where the logo is on the PlayStation 5, and they also cut it off for that reason, or is it just literally for the intellectual property?
So it's
Yeah, it
only for the IP because the Darkplates 1.0 did not have the PlayStation logo cut out. It's like the PlayStation logo is on the fins, but Dbrand did not put the PlayStation logo on Darkplates 1.0. Because they're obviously not going to put someone else's logo on their
Right.
product because
But I wonder
that's
if that's
even worse.
part of the litigation as well. Is like now they're almost taking over the branding. Like I wonder if they're going to push it now because like now the logo on the PlayStation 5 is going to be replaced. Correct?
Yeah, I guess so because you like it's just not going to show up anywhere on the outside of the console.
Yeah. So it's almost I struggle to find where they made this actually better for themselves, other than like just looking badass as hell.
It
But
didn't show up.
if they remove the PlayStation logo from the console by making plates that replace it. It's like it's not really making their case better, but it is hilarious.
Well, yeah, it's definitely hilarious, and ultimately this is marketing. But it like on Dark Plates 1.0, they had taken the logo off. So and then one, I'm going to read one last thing to Tim. It says, finishing touches, Dark Plates meet light strips. If you've made it this far down the page without buying anything, you're probably a lawyer. Good news for us, bad news for you. There probably aren't newly approved patents on custom LED light strips, middle skins, or all new Dark Plates 2.0 colorways. Serve us another cease and desist if we're wrong.
Oh, they're
And, like,
asking for it. Yikes.
That shit is just so funny. And then it gets down to, it's like, make a choice where you can choose if you want the disc edition or the digital edition. And, you know, it lists like products, list like the features, and it says 3 colorways, limited stock, not illegal. Like this, I mean, they are getting very cheeky, but honestly, I love it. I think that that they're being so funny. This is great marketing. And Sony is just looking really bad for doing this.
They are. Yeah. Which is like, what were some of the comments that you saw from like Sony enthusiasts about it on Reddit?
So the PS5
about
subreddit, the PS5 subreddit is just straight up insufferable.
It's cancer.
Like, oh yeah, I mean, and like, I don't get what it is about this generation in particular. I maybe it's like tribalism, like social media has just really pushed tribalism on all of us, so that everyone thinks that way now. But a lot of people on the PS5 subreddit were like talking about, oh, I'm happy that this happened because, you know, I don't know how safe the dark plates are for the PS5, blah blah blah, or oh, it's dumb that the dark plates added ventilation for the fan because that cooling system is meticulously designed. And it's like, okay, one, you're happy that this happened because you don't know how safe dark plates are. Don't put them on your PS5, idiot. Two, you think that adding additional ventilation to a computer cooling system, an air-cooled system, is going to do anything but help it? Like, are you fucking delusional? And so there were a bunch of people on the PS5 subreddit that were like celebrating this. And it's like, yeah, way to go, giant corporation. Like, fuck God. I don't know. I think that this, like, Sony sending a cease and desist for dark plates without any sign that they're intending to produce their own, like, black plates is just extremely indicative of their entire attitude towards their consumers this generation.
Yep. They reached the top last time, and now they've been trying to ride the wave, and they don't give a fuck who they plow over in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean they're at the top, like it's cocky Sony. The hubris is there that they think that, like, oh, we're gonna prevent anyone from making black faceplates, but we're not gonna provide our own alternative. And you know what? If Sony has their own, like, black faceplates, like black side plates, in development or in production, sure, yeah, shut it down, because, like, it's your product. But if you don't, which I don't think they do, at least we don't have any sign that they do, why stop? Like Tim, remember AM2R?
Oh yeah.
When Nintendo shut AM2R down, that sucked. But then months later they announced Samus Returns, and it's like, okay, Nintendo was working on their own remake of Metroid 2. So obviously, yes, they're going to shut down AM2R. I don't know. This just makes me mad. It's just like the pinnacle of cocky Sony.
Now, here's my question. Who's going to sue me if I paint my current plates or Spice Orange? Is it going to be Nintendo for using Spice Orange, or is it going to be Sony for me painting my plates? Or is it going to be them tag teaming me?
Yeah, I was going to say, ¿por qué no los dos? I mean, considering... God... I don't know. I don't know who I would. I don't know which end I would want which to be in, because they're both going to spit roast you.
Yep.
Ugh. Yeah. Don't do it spice orange. Just make it a different shade, and you'll only have one monster to fight. All right.
I
So
think you'd be fine, but if you started selling the paint to other people to paint it spice orange,
that's when they're going to be mad at you. Big mad. Oh, Christ.
We'll have to turn it into a speakeasy where you just come for your
Yeah.
console.
Come spray paint your PS5 here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
God. That would be hilarious.
Got to sign a waiver
Okay.
that you won't tell nobody.
Yep.
Your
We'll send
Honor.
our mob after you.
He signed this very illegal contract. Okay, so we do have to move on from the Dark Plates. God, I think we're, again, all agreeing. Fuck Sony. Fuck Sony for doing this. Way to go, D-Brand. Keep it up. Like, I don't even like the way the Dark Plates look. Yeah, I don't mind the white plates. The PS5 is ugly as fuck. Like, whether or not the Dark Plates 1.0 looked good, you're putting lipstick on a pig. And so, like, and I think that the Dark Plates 2.0 don't look as good. But the way D-Brand is handling this, I almost want to buy a set of Dark Plates 2.0 just to be like, yeah, fuck off, Sony.
I mean, I'm just saying this to piss Patrick off, but I like the PS5 design. I think it's on par with spaceships like the Enterprise. There we go.
Well, you're wrong.
I know.
You're wrong.
Oh, I'm very
Well,
aware of this. I just wanted to
I'll
say
kick
to
you off
piss
this
you off.
podcast. It's hideous. It's the ugliest console of all time. All right, moving on.
I like it. I mean, I hate it. I hate it. I think it's awful. Don't kick
that's
me off.
right. That's right.
Please?
Stockholm
Have you seen the
syndrome,
Atari Lynx?
baby. Yes, and the PS5 is uglier.
I don't know about that.
Eidos Montreal making some big changes and awesome changes. So Eidos Montreal has moved their entire workflow. They've shifted their entire workflow for the entire studio to a 4-day work week. And we're not talking like a 4-day, 40-hour work week. We're talking a 4-day, 32-hour work week. Just have an extra day on the weekend.
Good for
Every
them.
weekend. And they didn't change anyone's salary.
Good for them.
It's awesome.
This is amazing. So I mean, obviously, like, we don't really have a lot to talk about with this. Besides, I just wanted to take a moment and say, way to fucking go.
Good on them. That's about all I got.
Yeah.
It'll
It'll
be
be.
go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say it'll be interesting to see if this, like, makes them take longer between games, or has any effect, like, negative effect on their games, or has any positive effect on their games.
That's literally what I was gonna say. So
There we go. I think that games will come out slower, but games will be better. So I want everyone to do this. I want everyone in the video game industry to do this. I want everyone in every industry to do this. Give us an extra day. It's like and you know what? Even take an extra half hour every day. Like a 35-hour work week over 4 days. Make that the new norm. It's time. The robots are taking over. At least let us relax while they do.
See, what I think is gonna be interesting. I don't know. Remind me what Eidos has done.
Eidos Montreal has actually a game coming out later this month called Guardians of the Galaxy. And
yeah.
they did Tim's very excited about Guardians. They did Shadow of the Tomb Raider most recently.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, Tim has his jacket.
I'm ready.
Yeah, so they did
That's
Shadow
right.
of the Tomb
So
Raider.
we talked about them a lot a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I wonder what I'm curious about is how prone are they to crunch, and is that going to affect this? Is that making room for crunch in the future, or is it going to flat out like because they're gonna have to plan their deadlines based on this, and
Based
they're
on a
gonna have
4-day
to-
work week.
right, and see is productivity better, and make plans based on that, but also, again, it'll just be interesting to see if they struggle with crunch the same way that you know, like
Everyone else
Rockstar
does.
and other big other companies have had to deal with, you know.
Yeah.
So
and
that'll be interesting.
And Eidos Montreal is a Square Enix studio. And I mean, like, I'm not going to say, oh, Square Enix is impervious to crunch or anything. But I do think it's worth mentioning. We haven't heard a giant, you know, a gigantic scandal about, oh, crunch culture at any Square Enix studio. And so...
Well, yeah, they took fucking 15 years to put out the next Kingdom Hearts.
Exactly. Like, I mean... For better or for
Whatever it
worse,
was.
Square Enix takes their time, and
Yeah.
and it like, it kind of wraps back into the conversation around delays we had about a month ago of like, you know, in my mind, take as much time as you need. If video games come out slower, if I don't play, you know, Eidos Montreal games as often because of this, that's totally worth it to me. I'm like, yes, I will, you know what? And I'll even pay $10 more. Like, this sort of behavior is what makes that $70 price point much, much more like tolerable for me. I'm down.
It. Especially if the quality goes up a lot.
Yeah. I mean, even if the quality remains the same, if the developer's standard of living is better while they're making a similar quality game, I'm happy to pay more for it.
That's true.
All right. Moving on, Splinter Cell. So it's been a minute for Splinter Cell. I don't know. Tim, I know you're a Metal Gear Solid guy, but
It's been a little
I
over a
don't know.
decade, hasn't it?
Almost a decade. It was 2013
Okay.
for Splinter Cell Blacklist. There's a rumor that there is a new Splinter Cell game in development with the explicit intention of rehabbing Ubisoft's image, which needs some rehabbing particularly after Assassin's Creed looking to kind of go the like games as a service, after Ghost Recon has really kind of shit the bed over the past few years, after Watch Dogs has just become, you know, a product of focus groups. Ubisoft is, I think, headed into maybe some dark times, and this seems like, reportedly, this Splinter Cell game is a deliberate attempt to rehab their image. I am not super sure how much I trust them with this. What do you guys think? I'm not going to toss to either one of you in particular. Just give me your thoughts.
I don't I enjoyed Splinter Cell games. I didn't play like a ton of them, but it'll be interesting to see how they go back to that and how they change it, if they change it at all, or I don't know. Just for it to be a deliberate attempt to fix their image, I think that Splinter Cell is probably fitting because it was a bigger IP of theirs in the past.
And it's one that is in high demand. Everyone wants another Splinter Cell game.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious, down to see what happens. I think in terms of trust, it's like I would trust Ubisoft to do a Splinter Cell over another company personally, just because it's like it's their IP. But I don't know. I am also on the train where it's like my favorite Ubisoft games have only been getting better. I mean, mainly like just Far Cry. So I don't know.
Tim,
I know other people disagree, but
yeah. Tim, do you trust Ubisoft to take on, you know, a more classic style Splinter Cell at this point?
Not really. I'll be honest. Ubisoft kind of died off for me when they started releasing Assassin's Creed like every year.
that's kind of when it started, huh?
That's when their
Yeah,
big
I mean,
downhill
that was the
started.
start of the of the decline.
And then, like, I think about the time Origins came out and Odyssey came out, they were starting to like climb back up there. Like, Watch Dogs 2 was not a great sequel, but it was doing all right. And then everything just crashed like a year or two later. with
Yeah.
Legion and
It was Ghost Recon Breakpoint was kind of that
that too.
inflection point.
was awful.
Yeah, everything just
What a terrible game.
everything just went back
Wildlands,
downhill.
Man, great.
Yeah,
Breakpoint, what the hell?
it's like they started like taking a roller coaster at the top of a mountain. There was like another small little mountain that they like went over, and now they're just heading
Yeah.
back down that mountain. And it's
Accurate.
I don't
They
I don't
were
see
on the
it.
right track for a minute with
Yep.
like Origins, Odyssey, and Ghost Recon Wildlands, and then Breakpoint was just that inflection point where they started going downhill again. So, like, does this going hand in hand with the rumors that it is a very deliberate attempt to like rehab their image? Does that do anything to quell your concerns? Does that like make you at all less concerned
No,
that they're like communicating that they're aware?
not at all. Because at this point, it's like, all right, you can say all you want, but show me
Right.
is what
walk
I'm waiting
the walk.
for. Yeah, show me at this point. Show me you can do better
Yeah.
because you haven't shown that in the past few years.
Yeah. I'm in that same boat with you, Tim. Nathan?
It'll be interesting because when I think about other people that are trying to not necessarily fix their image, but like reboot stuff, like the other ones that are coming to mind are a big one, at least for me, is like Saints Row, how they're completely restarting that whole universe and how
just
it's
a
taking a
total
direction
reboot.
that's interesting. I wonder, like I wonder, is it going to be something like that where is Sam Fisher is his name, right? Is the main character's name?
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if Sam Fisher is going to be like a younger guy now, just like is he going to still be the same background? Like how much are they going to try to keep it familiar?
Well, so in Blacklist that came out in 2013, it was the very first time that Sam Fisher was voiced by anyone besides Michael Ironside, and fans were furious about that, myself included.
I can see that.
But years later, we would find out that like Ubisoft was actually really, really doing the right thing in that situation, because Michael Ironside had cancer and he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to and so he had throat cancer and he couldn't do the voice work.
He literally could not. Yeah.
And he didn't want to share any of that publicly. And so Ubisoft just recast the role and just absolutely took a beating online about, it's not Michael Ironside. And they took that beating, and the entire time they could have stepped out and said, Michael Ironside has a medical condition that prevented him from recurring, like reprising the role. And that would have taken all the heat off of them.
Right.
And it would have but it would have thrown him under the bus. And
Right.
considering the heat that they took after that, I mean, I don't trust them to do the right thing with Splinter Cell right now. I think that they're going to fuck it up somehow, but I will always respect Yves Guillemot for what he did with like that decision to, we're just going to take this heat and protect Michael Ironside.
That's true. Yeah, I wonder if after that, what do you think about? Would you be open to someone else being the Splinter Cell now, like the main character, or like with that in mind that Michael Ironside left and Sam Fisher, like it's a reboot possibly or something? What do you think about that? Like it?
Well, so
changing that much.
Here's what I think it needs to be. I think that it needs to be not a reboot, but Sam Fisher was supposed to be like 40, like early 40s in the first game.
Yeah.
Maybe mid 40s in the first game. And it's been like 20 years since that game came out. So what I think that whatever the next Splinter Cell needs to be is a new agent with Michael Ironside as Sam Fisher in the like handler role.
That'd be cool.
And so like
I'd be
kind
down
of
for that.
pass the torch to a new character altogether. Tim, kind of similar how like Snake passed it to Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep.
That's what I would want from a new, because honestly, Michael Ironside's kind of old. I think he's in his late 70s at this point, and
He's getting there.
Yeah, so it's like we gotta move away from Sam Fisher at some point. I love the character, but that's how I would want them to go out, is like even if it's one more game playing as Sam, as the agent, and like it ends in his like retiring into or like moving into a new role in Third Echelon, that would be fine. But there needs to be at least one game of overlap between Sam and whoever is the next agent that takes over, to kind of pass the torch.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for that for sure.
Yeah, and I mean I'm way down to play a new Splinter Cell game. Hopefully we hear about it next year, and hopefully it doesn't suck.
Sam Fisher
Big
fighting
hopefully.
aliens.
Big hopefully on that. That's true. Earlier this week, Microsoft announced an Xbox celebration. So Xbox will turn 20 next month, and on November 15th of 2001, Microsoft released the very first Xbox, and they'll be having an Xbox anniversary celebration. They've announced that they're not going to be doing any big game announcements. With that being said, I think that this is when we're going to see the re-debut of the Halo Infinite campaign. Tim, I know you're kind of chomping at the bit to see that. What do you think?
I don't know, because they've said they've explicitly are not showing anything new at this. So seeing new stuff on Infinite is kind of murky in my mind at best. And honestly, at this point, I don't really want to see anymore. I've played the beta, I had fun with it, and I want to be kept as in the dark as possible until it comes out.
So let me ask for clarification there. So you said that they're not they're announced that they're not making any game announcements, as in like new games that are coming out, or announcements about games. Is strictly going to be about service, or
So the way I interpreted it, and I could totally be wrong, was they will not be announcing any new games.
Yeah, it's basically a look back at the past over the last 20 years, is what I've interpreted
Right.
it as.
Which better mean a Zurich remaster or remake. Nobody? No. A Zurich?
I don't know.
Is
what
that game really that much of a deep cut? Oh, Christ. Okay.
No idea what that
You're
is.
old.
No, we're all the same age.
Who's?
What?
I was gonna see who's youngest here, but I mean, I guess we don't have to get into that.
I'm pretty
It's
sure
Tim.
it's me, because I'm not
It's
30
Tim.
yet.
Oh, Christ. Neither is Nathan.
Nathan?
Right, Nathan?
No, I said me neither.
Yeah. Me
By
neither.
the time you, dear listener, hear this, we'll probably be 60.
What? Oh my God.
Going back to
When
the
you're
archives. huh?
searching
All
in
right.
the archives of the early days of the internet.
Yeah, that would be a weird thing to do. No, so I'm like, what do you guys think is gonna be at this show then? Like, Tim, if you feel like they're not gonna show Halo, which is fine, what do you think? Because I'm kind of with you on, like, I'm sold. You don't need to show me any more Halo. I just want to experience it. What do you think is gonna show up?
I mean, I expect to see lots of like their old titles. Like I expected them to look at the Halo series as it has progressed. I don't expect to see anything new from it. I expect them to go take a look at Gears of War, especially. Probably some
Just a
Forza.
celebration of their greatest hits.
Yeah,
Halo, Gears, Forza.
and so on. I don't expect to see a single new thing at all.
Fair enough. Nathan?
I think if they weren't doing anything new, I think it would be kind of cool if they were to showcase like the challenges and stuff that they had in the past and like how they overcame them and stuff like that. Kind of like a Blood, Sweat, and Pixels kind of thing. I think that'd be really cool to see from them if they were to be like showcasing that kind of stuff just from someone who's interested in like the development side of things and how all of those pieces of the machine come together. I think that'd be kind of cool if they were to be really open about stuff like that and make the event about that kind of stuff.
The FedEx deal.
What?
The FedEx deal.
I have no idea what that means.
So, the Red Ring of Death. We all remember the Red Ring of Death from the Xbox 360.
Yep.
So, there was a meeting, basically. Red Ring of Death was happening, and they were, like, kind of scrambling to... And this was, like, within a month of the Xbox 360 coming out. And they were scrambling to, like, figure out, okay, what is happening when we need to replicate this problem. And they figured it out, and they figured out, okay, this is, like, they figured out how to fix it. And then, I can't remember who was the president of Xbox at the time. It wasn't Seamus Blackley anymore. But the president of Xbox at the time was actually friends with an executive at FedEx. And he, like, before they even, like... There were obviously rumblings that there was something wrong with the Xbox 360. But before they even went to Steve Ballmer, who was the CEO of Microsoft at the time, before they even went to him to say, okay, this is what's going on and we know how to fix it, and talking to him about the problem at all, the president of Xbox went and like hashed out a deal of like, okay, this is going to be the quote, this is how much it's going to cost. And to assume like how many, X percentage of Xboxes fail. And this is how much it's going to cost to ship them a box and let them ship it back to us and then ship them the Xbox repaired and this and that. So then the president of Xbox went to Steve Ballmer and explained in one meeting and said basically, this is what's happening. This is how we're going to fix it. This is the deal that's on the table. We have a deal with FedEx already. If we don't give this the green light right now, Xbox will die. And Steve Ballmer just said, do it. And they like
stuff
in
like that would be sick.
Yeah. So like if they were super transparent about shit like the FedEx deal, that would be incredible. That would be that would be a conference to watch for sure.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's not going to be that, and it's going to be like, thank you for supporting us all these years. These are the games that you've seen in the past and loved.
Fusion
like a
Frenzy.
reel. Yeah. It's just going to... I could see it just being something like that. And
yeah, it's going to be one big Xbox circle jerk.
Which honestly, like, I, as close as Xbox has been throughout, like, in my life, throughout, the last 20 years, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I wish it was something more transparent and really interesting. But if it's just a celebration of, like, these are the things we love. And like, I feel attachment to Xbox in a very similar way that I feel attachment to Nintendo. And as a kid, I never thought that I would feel that attachment to anything but Nintendo. But, and so, like, when Nintendo celebrates, we're, like, Mario 35 or Zelda 35. It's sappy. It's low-hanging fruit, but I'm into it, and I'm going to be into it for Xbox, too. Yeah, I don't blame you.
I won't watch it.
It's just different strokes. Yeah. I'll watch it, and I'll let you know what it is.
Cliff notes. If it's interesting, then pop it on over, but,
Let's all cross our fingers and say a prayer. Hopefully we're getting that Azuric remake.
I still don't know what that is.
Never gonna happen, Patrick.
I hate you guys for not knowing what Azuric is.
I
okay,
know what
Sony.
it is, but it's never gonna happen.
No, it's not. That game was so bad. Even when I was like 11, I was like, "Oh, this game is bad."
They remade Battletoads.
What?
I said they remade Battletoads. Bad games get
They didn't-
sequels.
they
get
didn't
remade.
remake
They didn't
Battletoads.
remake it, but they
rebooted
They made a sequel, and also
rebooted it,
Battletoads was not a bad game.
What?
Battletoads
It's a
was
hard
hard
Infamous for
game.
being horrible.
It is a hard game. It's not a bad
Yeah,
game.
it's a very hard game, but it's not a bad game.
There's a fine, like, hard games can be bad games on the basis of them being hard.
I agree, but Battletoads is
Fight
not one
me.
of those. All right, and then finally, last bit of news, and I'm just going to get one prediction from each of us. Sony has announced their next PlayStation State of Play will occur on Wednesday, October 27th. That's this coming Wednesday. The stream will reportedly be focused on third-party games for both PS4 and PS5. What do we think is going to be on this?
Bloodborne 2. I don't know.
That would not a chance.
Yeah, aren't they? Yeah, there's another studio that's.
That's a
remastering,
rumor.
right?
That's a
Oh,
rumor.
okay.
Nathan, what's your prediction?
I don't know. I'm thinking
Make it fucking wild.
Wild.
Sure. We're all taking a shot in the dark
party?
here.
I can't think of any.
All right, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to say PSVR something. And not PSVR 2, PSVR 1, like Iron Man VR 2. For whatever reason, Iron Man VR 2.
Okay.
Or maybe like that stupid what was that stupid shooter game that came with the gun?
You have to be a
Whatever
lot more
it was.
specific.
Wasn't it something Mars or something, or like
Yeah, it was on
Red
Mars.
Planet or something?
No, it wasn't.
I know which one you're talking about. Sort of like a V, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Nathan, give us your prediction.
Man, I don't know. I haven't thought of PlayStation in so long, aside from Dreams, and I don't think Media Molecule is third party.
No, they are.
Are they?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, as much as I would like them to say something about Dreams, they never fucking will. So
No. Dreams is dead.
No, it's not dead. But
Okay.
they're it's very far from dead, but
Tim has something
It's-
for you.
Are you thinking of Farpoint, Patrick?
Yes,
Farpoint.
Farpoint. Thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
That's what it was.
It's only $9.99 right now on the PlayStation Store on PS4.
4.2.
Still pass. So, Nathan, are you going to say Dreams?
No,
You got to say something.
I'm gonna say not Dreams. That's what I'm guessing. That's my
anything
Nathan,
but
I said get wild. I didn't say pick the most obvious, absolute, sure thing answer.
I mean, it would be wild if they did.
Right, that's
but
what
they're
I'm
not
saying.
going to, 'cause
It
they
is
suck.
an absolute sure thing
Dumb.
that they will not talk about Dreams.
Man, I hope they prove me wrong.
I
That's my
hope so
guess.
too.
It's not even wild. It's just begrudgingly.
Just reluctant. All right. Well, I regrettably did not have time to write a trivia question, so we're not doing trivia again this week. But that's all we have for you guys tonight. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you found us on. Don't forget you can see everything we do all in one spot over at coldnorthroad.com. You can see what we're doing individually. Tim, we can find you on twitch.tv/rackandI. Is that correct?
Correct.
And also you can follow Tim on Twitter at rackandI. You can follow Nathan on Twitter. I don't
You can find me.
where can we find you? Where are you, Nathan?
Just Twitter's good. That's fine.
What's your
That's
Twitter
fine.
handle?
Yes.
It's at Avender_found. Avender spelled AVNDR.
Okay, and then also I think that's your name on Dreams too, so you can find the games that Nathan makes.
Yep.
on dreams. You can follow me on Twitter at The Law Morris. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Law Morris. We'll be back next week talking about whatever happens in the next 7 days. So until then, reset.
Q, final answer.
No, sorry. So you lost a point.
Damn it!
I know. It's a shame.
Every time!
Have you just been thinking that to yourself this whole time? Have you been writing that song in your head? Belt it.
Sad boy. I'm a sad, sad boy.
I'm getting depressed. I need to leave.
No, stay. Stay.